Meeting you where you are. The meaning behind the slogan is that we meet the community where they are on their journey towards holistic health, a plant-based lifestyle, and veganism, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We do this through people, food, events, and culture. Our 6 pillars are birth, eating, education, empowerment, enlightenment, and events. We are Black Veg Society.
And cultures. Peace and blessing. Peace and blessing. You could have tuned in anywhere online today and you chose to be here with me. Give yourselves a round of applause. Let me do that for you right here. So funny. So if you're vegan, vegetarian, curious, or neither, or don't like labels, please put that in the comments. I'd like to know who is listening in, tuning in, who I am talking to, because today we're going to find our vegan soul through anchoring advocacy in spirit. And whether you're an advocate or not, because you might be an advocate for something else. Maybe it's not veganism. It could be, anything else that you're working on, civil rights, the food justice, human trafficking, whatever the advocacy is. This applies to everyone, but I'll be speaking in finding your vegan soul. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Naja Speaks. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Naja Speaks. Today's show isn't going to be a lecture. It's not a lecture. It is a virtual connection. So let's make sure we are engaging and connecting if you can. So again, please comment whether you're vegan, vegetarian, a foodie, neither, or you just love eating meat. Make sure you put that in the comments. I want to speak about today how being grounded in your spirit, your spirituality, can anchor you in your advocacy. And when I say your advocacy, everyone's advocacy is different. Your advocacy is not the same as mine. And if you're not in the vegan movement, as I said, this still applies. It applies to any movement because spirituality is the foundation of our purpose and how we move, or I hope how you move. So it is universal, and I'm simply on a mission to help those find their inner vegan in their soul, because I believe everyone has vegan in their soul. Okay. So let's just take this moment. I just want to get a blessing for the animals and the plants and the environment. Yesterday it was hot here in Baltimore. It was like in the 90s, and we had a thunderstorm, and today is raining. So some folks may attribute that to climate change, the environment, and us vegans in the movement attribute it to eating a lot of animals, and the resources needed to feed those animals is affecting the environment, which is why we have all these shifts in the weather. Let's just start with a moment of silence for the billions of animals' lives that have been lost, humans that are suffering from health ailments. Blacks are the top of the list of health ailments attributed to diet, and for the earth holding on for its dear life. Okay, let's just give a moment of silence for all of that. Universe, I hope you're listening. Please guide us to achieve many blessings in this movement. And on that, I say amen, amin, saru, om, ashe, and any other closing that you who are listening wish to say. Blessings. Now, I may not be the vegan educator, advocator, or activist that some of you out there may want me to be. I am who I truly am, and genuinely, I am who I am in my advocacy. Why? Because I am grounded in my spirituality, which is very important, extremely important to me. Because you got to understand, in this advocacy, whatever you're doing in the movement, in whatever movements you're in, you are that individual person before anything. So I'm Naja. I am Naja before I'm vegan, and I am a woman before I am vegan. So all my women out there, you understand what I mean when I say you are a woman before anything. We have our own issues that we need to deal with. I'm also considered part of the collective of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, the BIPOC community, before I am vegan. And then that's a whole nother layer of issues that we need to deal with. And then I'm a Pisces. So any of my listeners who are down with the astrology and the zodiac signs movement, I am a Pisces before I'm vegan. So there's a whole set of characteristics and layers to that. Okay. I hope if you've been listening to me for a while, you know what defines a vegan. But if not, we're going to use the American Vegan Society's definition of veganism. It is one who follows a philosophy and lifestyle that seeks to exclude, and a lot of times people miss this part right here, as far as possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any purpose. So this includes adopting a plant-based diet that excludes meat, dairy, eggs, and honey, as well as avoiding products like leather, fur, and items tested on animals. So veganism is a practice. A practice. What does that mean? That means it's not perfection. It's not perfection. Constant improvement, constant elevation. So it's a practice. So, and you're probably going to know where I'm going to end up with this, because a lot of times we have, as vegans, this stigmatism, the stigma of just being, irrational, radical, militant. None of that defines me as Naja, as a human being, a living being, a being with feelings. Last week's show, I was on with a board member, secretary of board of Black Veg Society. We promote in the Children's Veg Fest, and there was a group that came on. And I won't mention their name. If you want to find out about that, you can always look at that episode and find out what the conversation was. But something came across the screen in the comments, and I love comments. I appreciate comments because they encourage conversation and engagement. It said speciesism equals childisms. And I'm sure that came up because we are hosting a Children's Veg Fest this August in partnership with the Y of Central Maryland, the Weinberg Y location in Waverly. So yes, I am going to do a shameless plug about that. About the Children's Veg Fest. You can go to childrensvegfest.com to find out more information about that, the childrensvegfest.com. But so it just sparked an interesting conversation, because there was a couple of comments that was posted up that, said, what we should not be doing in the movement, and don't do that in the movement. And see, this is the very, very issue that we're having as a small percentage of vegans in the movement, because we're well under 5%. Just totally under 5%. And we are infighting or badgering or just being belligerent to those that are in the movement, trying to educate and share the message. And this is what we shouldn't be doing. So I had to ban and delete and kick them out of viewing the session, which I didn't want to do, but this is not the energy that we have. We're promoting vegan soul. We're anchoring our advocacy in spirit, and all the negative energy, keep over there to, other people, because it's just too much fighting and, not enough moving of the needle for people that want to claim to be vegan. Okay. So again, the foundation is who you are. A lot of people come in as who they are, whether they're racist, whether they're classist, whether they're elitist, whether they're color, whatever the issue is, they come in as that individual into this advocacy. And that's not what we're teaching here at Black Veg Society. At Black Veg Society, you coming as you are, and we're going to help you find that vegan soul, meeting you where you are on that journey. So I don't care if you're vegan, not vegan. We're going to love you all the same, because you have to be psychologically ready to be in this movement, or to be fully willing to eat no meat 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. So all the militant stuff needs to stop. Okay. That's why veganism is getting a bad rap. Okay. We have so many people, 95% or more of the population, that we need to educate and help along the ways in learning this philosophy. And even if it is just eating, because that still assists with less cruelty to animals. Okay. So whether you've been vegan for 20 years and coming in here to listen to what I have to say, your soul is in the right place. I'm not here to talk about animal rights, vegan food justice, or climate change. So I am not going to dive into any of that. If you want resources on that, there's plenty out there. You can start at blackvegsociety.org to tap in to some of those resources. What I am here to talk about is the spirit behind your advocacy, or behind these advocacies, in particular, the advocacy that I'm in, veganism, finding your vegan soul. So we have to be honest. Being an advocate in this world is exhausting. I'm totally exhausted. I've been doing this since 2016, when I met. Is it 2016? No, 2006. Oh my God, like time flies. Since 2006, when I met my my now husband Greg, and he opened up the Land of Kush. So advocacy is exhausting, mentally, physically, emotionally. It's draining. And if you are out here fighting for the animals, food justice, and the planet on an empty spiritual tank, I'm going to tell you, you're going to stall out before you even get to the next protest, the next project, or the next campaign. It's going to happen because it happened to me, and it happened to a lot of people that I know personally. So you must ask yourself, what is your why? Okay, what is my why? Really, not someone else's why. Because you know how it is. People get into groups, and now you may not be the leader, so you're a follower. Everyone's not a leader; they're followers. So what is your why? Not someone else's why. Yours. What's your purpose? Me personally, I got into this movement because I'm nice. I said there goes a bunch of people doing some great things. I'm nice, too nice sometimes. And no, not nice defined in our urban dictionary, like, yeah, I'm nice with this, got awarded and stuff, recognized for this. No, not that nice. I'm actually nice, a nice, kind-hearted person, a people pleaser. And I stumbled across the vegan practice while looking for a way to reduce my cholesterol, and that's how I met my husband, Greg, and then we started this whole thing out. And the story goes like this: people were looking at us like we had 3 heads. Vegan soul food, like really vegan? You serious? Yeah, that's an oxymoron. Like soul food has to be smothered in smoked turkey and ham in order for it to be real food. That's funny. But we told them the soul isn't in the turkey or the pig. The soul is in the intention. Is your intention pure? And then when I digged a little deeper, I found out that one of our favorite artists, Erykah Badu, who my husband has been cooking for the past few years when she's near the area. They've contacted Land of Kush 3 years in a row for him to, do some chef it up, put his vegan soul into the food. Let me see if I can show this clip that I have. Not a clip. I just had this thing I want to show. Can y'all see? I don't even know if y'all can see this. We'll see. No, it's not showing it for some reason. But I had this clip that talked about Erykah Badu and her soul food. Let me see if I can get this in. Oh, there we go. See, that's what it was. I was hiding and everything. Let me get in the bottom. Okay, so this is Erykah Badu's views, and if you've seen it before, great. If you haven't seen it, I'm showing it to you now. Erykah Badu's views on this is basically that vegan food is soul food. Excuse me, hello. Vegan food is soul food in its purest form. Okay, because it aligns with pure intent and feeling the soul. Okay, it's also a return to our ancestral traditional eating habits before industrialization, the mass killings of the chickens and the false impregnation of the cows, so you can get your milk that you shouldn't even be drinking, because we're the only mammals that drink another mammal's milk. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. So because it aligns with pure intent and feeding the soul, why she doesn't prefer any labels like plant-based over vegan or whatever. She doesn't want to label herself or subscribe to any type of organizations. So to avoid all of that organizational box in, prioritizing personal energy alignment. Okay. She also describes her diet as her way of putting the best gas into her body to maintain high energy. And sometimes I say this when I am talking at an event. I say, these folks got these high class, luxury, high cost vehicles, whatever you consider that to be, where you're pumping premium gas into it. But then you see them pull up into McDonald's. But do what you want with your money, because that's you. But doesn't it make sense to fuel your body with the best fuel that you can possibly get, in reason, and if you can access it, because we do have social economics out here. But if you have a luxury sedan where you're pumping it with premium gas, Don't tell me all you could afford is McDonald's. But anyway, because I do it the other way around. I'm afford my food and then deal with my regular gas and get a car that, anyway. She also frames plant-based eating as a return to traditional ancestral eating habits before, and I think I mentioned that already. She often promotes dishes like coconut collard greens, things like that. So that was interesting. An interesting note on Erykah Badu. Anyway, advocacy. Back to that. Oh, we were talking about me and Greg. When we were opening up the Land of Kush, family, we had these nice little cushy jobs, and family was actually, well, not my family, my family, my mom is like, go what makes you happy, follow your heart, and if that makes you happy, then great. But I remember us talking at a dinner table about us leaving our cushy jobs at Verizon Wireless because that's where we met, and this was the height of the financial mortgage crisis. So 2008, going into 2010. And, so they were like, not in this economy, not in this economy. And the house that we were living in was going through foreclosure. So it was a really, really intense time. But because of our spirituality and because of our belief in the Most High, this is what we pray to. You pray, and prayer is nothing if there's no action behind it. So it's kind of like you feel the fear and then you do it anyway. So we press forward with it, and here we are. We're celebrating 15 years. 15 years of service at the Land of Kush, and I'm not going to say that it was easy, because it's like the stock market. It's up and down, up and down. We press forward, and we built the modern day ancient African civilization, what Greg dreamed it to be, right here in Baltimore City, to heal our people of health ailments and restore food justice. And we realized our purpose wasn't just changing menus, but also cultivating ahimsa, which is non-injury through physicalness or through words. We wanted to show the community compassion and action. And I really highly believe that's why we're celebrating 15 years. Because again, lots of ups and downs. The restaurant business, is any of my fellow restaurant tours out there, past or present, know that this type of business is not for the faint at heart. It is a blessing that we are still open, and every day our doors are open. It is a blessing. So I am definitely going to give an applause, because it's not easy. Definitely not easy. Operating a vegan business. I mean, there's just so many vegan businesses that have closed, especially food service ones. A lot of them, had to shutter during the pandemic. And calling this business the Land of Kush wasn't just a business move, because people associate Kush with marijuana, and that's that was intended, but it should not have been. The education is that Kush is an ancient African civilization in Nubia, in Egypt, civilization along the Nile River. So when people ask that question, what is Kush, it gives us an opportunity to educate on ancient African history. What else do we have here? Yes, I mean, it's just a lot to cover, this whole advocacy thing. What else? Yeah, the compassion over killing and ahimsa. A couple of other important things that I wanted to bring across with, the advocacy in spirit. How do you anchor it? Compassion is a muscle. You have to exercise it. I mentioned earlier that this type of advocacy can leave people burnt. Real advocacy is rooted in deep spiritual compassion for the person standing in front of you who doesn't know better yet. So it's not about badgering someone. I remember like someone was saying, anybody that eats meat is a murderer. My mom's not a murderer. My sister's not a murderer. Nobody in my family eating meat is a murderer. So just stop with the dramatization. Advocacy rooted in deep spiritual compassion for the person standing in front of you who does not know better yet. And it may not be their time to know better yet. You can educate them all you want, give them all the leaflets you want. That is where it starts. That is just planting the seeds and, allow them to grow. The vegan soul, when your ethics and your spirit are in total alignment, every plant-based and vegan meal becomes a non-violent communion with the creator's handiwork. So it is a prayer for a kinder world. Okay, every plant, so you can be vegan for the animals, you can be vegan for the environment, you can be vegan for health. I'm not going to allow people to tell me what I need to be vegan for. The vegan is for a kinder world, period, end of story. And that is the true vegan soul. How do you sustain the soul? The movement is going to try to wear you down at all ends, even with the infighting, because that doesn't have, that wears you down too, with the infighting and all the real isms that are within the movement. But when you're anchored in spirit, you see past the suffering and into the mission, and you do it for the collective good and for your God or your universe or your spirit, whatever foundation. And if you are not in belief of any of the spirits, atheist, agnostic, that's fine too. You're still out there with a purpose. So what is that purpose? You just can't go around pointing fingers and calling people carnists and things like that and expect to win souls. Okay, it's just going to leave you burnt out. You got to be rooted in spiritual compassion and the whole 9 yards. So that's why I really like to advocate for the ahimsa, because that dates back way back, the Hinduism, and I'm into the chakras and aligning the chakra. Like it dates back to that, and that's a lot of times what I like to follow. Wow, time flies. It really flies. Folks worrying about getting their protein. We get that all the time. Don't worry. As an activist, as an advocate, elephants and gorillas have plenty of protein. So do giraffes and horses, and nothing's wrong with them. And they're not even lifting weights. And if you're worried about taste, look, we've studied hard here at the Land of Kush, along with many other restaurateurs, whether they own full vegan restaurants or veg friendly. And we're doing the darn thing. Okay, they're doing the darn. Go out there and try it, especially during Vegan Restaurant Week in August. And the Land of Kush has a very good vegan crab cake that won an award. And people a lot of times ask for seconds. So yeah, you just gotta you just gotta go for it. I mean, is it about your health? Is it about the animals? Is it about the environment? Or is it about global hunger? I learned about global hunger, how we're feeding animals with the food that can be served to starving children and families around the world who happen to be Black and brown like myself. So I really take that to heart. I'm going to close out with this. I'm going to close out with this and just say I can't bring up the actual wording, but I'm just going to close out with, this talk with the affirmation that my plate is my peace. So it starts on the plate. A lot of times when we're out there advocating, it starts with the food. Food is social, especially in the BIPOC community. Food is social, and the food has to taste good. So my plate is my peace. My voice is my power for our advocates out there. You don't have to go to war at the dinner table. Use your voice as power to educate. I don't go into, the Thanksgiving, the holiday dinner with family and argue about why there's pig on the table or turkey in the greens. We bring our food. And if there's questions that come out or come up, I just answer them, or I don't eat that. Why I don't eat that? Well, this is why. And my soul is my anchor. So I keep it like that. It's in my soul. I'm an advocate for this for life. And no, again, I'm not perfect because, like I said, practice makes improvement, not perfection. So I want to thank you for definitely listening to me as I walked you through that talk about spirituality, again, being the foundation, because it definitely is. And you are who you are before you come into the advocacy. So I am Naja. The meaning of that name is bright-eyed illuminating. Bright-eyed illuminating. I am Naja first before I'm vegan. I'm a woman first before I'm vegan. I'm a Black, Indigenous person of color before I'm vegan. And I am a Pisces before I'm vegan. And on that note, have a blessed one. Peace out.
Meeting you where you are. The meaning behind the slogan is that we meet the community where they are. On their journey towards holistic health, a plant-based lifestyle, and veganism, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We do this through people, food, events, and culture. Our 6 pillars are birth, eating, education, empowerment, enlightenment, and events. We are Black Veg Society.